This is Starlink's Gen 3 pipe adapter, and this may be the worst Starlink accessory that they've ever made. My name's Colby, and in this video I'm going to be going over the Gen 3 pipe adapter, doing a review, installation tutorial, and I'm going to be explaining why you should definitely not buy this. The Starlink Gen 3 pipe adapter costs $38. You can get it directly from the Starlink shop at shop.starlink.com. And because this mount is so bad, I'm going to be giving you a third-party alternative that I recommend that performs the same function as this, but doesn't have the safety issues. So right off the bat, you may be wondering why I have two boxes here. Why do I have two of these mounts? Well, that is the first really interesting topic of today's video with the Gen 3 pipe adapter, and really one of the first reasons why you shouldn't buy this mount. So this one right here that I have already unboxed is the original Gen 3 pipe adapter. I bought this as soon as it was released, and Starlink basically told me a few weeks afterwards to throw it away because it wasn't safe to use. They actually recalled this version right here because of a design defect, and if you do some searching on the various online Starlink communities, you will come to find that actually a lot of people that had installed this very early on had their dishes blown off the roof because this design was just so unsafe. Now over here, which I haven't unboxed yet, is the updated version. They sent this to anybody who bought the original version. They sent it for free. I have not looked at it yet. I've got the email from Starlink that explains what's different, and it's really not a whole lot. So let's do the unboxing with the new version. I can set this aside because this is no longer available. So the new version comes with Starlink's usual instruction sheet. It's pretty simple. And like I said, I'll be doing an installation tutorial in this video as well. So we'll discard this for now. And as you can see, surprisingly, this is exactly the same design. They didn't really change anything except for the material that is coating this bolt, this set screw right here. So let me just give you a close-up of the two so that you can see for yourself. So this one right here is the updated version. This is the old version that was recalled. So the material on the set screw right here is different. That's the only change they made. So I'm assuming that on the old version, the material on the bolt itself that was coating it must have caused the bolt to come loose over time. And as this set screw comes loose, it allows this mount to fall off of your mast. So that's why that there were several people that I saw social media posts on that had their Gen 3 dishes actually fall off of the mast that they were trying to put this on because this bolt failed. So that's the first kind of red flag that we had, the really first impression that most people got from this mount. And you'll notice in any of the online communities, the online Starlink forums and stuff, that when anybody talks about using a pipe adapter, everybody always chimes in and says, do not buy the Starlink version. And I have to agree there, just simply based on that recall and this design in general. So let's kind of take a closer look at what else is in the box real quick before we get to talk in detail about this mount. So you have some cable clips as well that Starlink usually sends cable routing clips to help you route your cable up the side of your home, which is nice. And then the last thing in the box is just the Allen wrench to be able to tighten down that set screw. So it's a pretty simple kit, not much to it. Okay, so let's take a look at this closer detail here. So can you see the problem? The second reason why I do not recommend this mount, you should probably already be seeing it. This is where the third-party mast or pipe or mount is supposed to insert, and then the idea is you tighten it down with this set screw. It applies pressure to whatever pipe or mast that you're hooking onto, and that's what holds this mount in place. Let me show you. I have a J-mount here. This is a ProxyCast J-mount, and this is like what you would find, maybe you have an old like DirecTV satellite dish or something. These are pretty commonly used. These are third-party mounts. I've done a review on this one specifically for my old Gen 1 Starlink dish. But anyway, the idea with the pipe adapter for the Gen 3, you're supposed to set it on like this, and then tighten down this set screw. And then, of course, if you're familiar at all with the Gen 3, the dish will just slide into place right here. And it's already got, you know, a little, what is it, like 20-degree angle probably already built in. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? But do you see the problem? Like, there's almost no space that this pipe can actually insert into. Let me measure it for you. 3/4 of an inch. So you can only insert 3/4 of an inch of your pipe that you're trying to adapt your dish to, and then it has to be secured down by a single set screw. And actually, the set screw itself only goes down less than 1/2 of an inch. So really, the point at which this set screw is making contact with your mast is about 1/2 of an inch down, less than 1/2 of an inch. Do you see how that would be a problem? So this is going to be super easy if I kind of tighten it down just to test here real quick. Like, there's not much gripping that, and I haven't really tightened it down. This is just an exaggeration, but you can see how that would be a problem when a storm comes along, and with enough wind over time, this bolt is going to probably loosen up and there's nothing else left holding your dish on. Your dish is just gonna come flying off of there because there's really nothing else gripping this mast. Now, this was really confusing to me, and I think for a lot of Starlink fans that have been, you know, following them for a long time like I have, this design was extremely confusing because this is not the first Starlink pipe adapter. This right here is the Generation 2 pipe adapter. Now, this one was extremely popular because, like I said, it allows you to use any third-party mast or mount and adapt it to the Starlink mounting system, you know, how it locks in place and everything. So it's basically it makes Starlink plug and play with third-party mounts. That's why these are so popular. But look at the difference between these two. You see why people would prefer this kind of design over this one? You can insert, let me measure it again. On this one, you insert about 2.5 inches of your mast into the pipe adapter, and then you have six set screws at 2 different heights along the pipe that lock it down in place. Now, if you do this properly, if you install this properly, this is going nowhere. Okay, this is completely secure. And I've actually been using this one myself for over a year now, probably a year and a half, without any issues. So I took this down off of my roof just to show you guys the difference, because it is so striking why they would go with this kind of design as a pipe adapter for their Gen 3 when they already had such a successful product and a good design for Gen 2. Now, my ultimate question is, why didn't they just take the Gen 3 mounting adapter plate that, you know, slides into the dish? Why didn't they just find a way to add this onto their existing pipe adapter? Like, change the design up a little bit, change the tooling, get rid of this part because it's not needed, and, you know, find a way to fasten the adapter plate like that, so that we have this design, this part of the design that's actually gripping the mast. So this was super confusing to me, and I think a lot of people that follow Starlink, why they would choose to go this route. Okay, so enough of railing on this for a second. Let's get into the actual installation procedure. I'm going to show you how to install this. I'm going to give you my thoughts and impressions along the way. I want to give this a fair shot, even though I kind of know how it's going to end. I just want to give everybody as much information as I possibly can on this mount, put it through the test anyway, and we'll check back with you here in a little bit. Okay, so we're up at the roof now. You can see I've got my J-mount here. As far as supplies needed for this, pretty simple. You just need the Allen wrench that comes in the kit, and obviously the pipe adapter itself. And you'll need, you know, as a prerequisite, some kind of third-party mount or mast installed already. So you can see I've got a pretty typical 1.5 inch diameter J-mount here. This is the proxy cast. I'll put a link to this in the description below, and also a link back to our blog where I actually reviewed this previously. So we've got our mount installed, and now I need to be able to adapt the Gen 3 dish to this mount. So let's take the cable here. So on the cable routing side, it might be tempting to route it underneath this little indentation right here, but actually Starlink says go over it like this. There's a channel right there that you can see, and then you plug it in to the dish. Tab side up. And you'll know that it's fully seated because you can see that the connector waterproof barrier right there is flush with that little plastic housing. Put that cable into the channel like I showed you before, and then it just snaps into place. There we go, that easy. Okay, so now we're ready to actually put it on the mount. Okay, and I'm going to do like I said before. I'm kind of pushing down at the same time. I'm also pushing it back this way, and then I'm going to tighten the set screw. And I'm just snugging it for now because the Gen 3 dish does have to be manually aimed. Okay, so I just plugged in my Gen 3 dish, did the alignment check on it in the app, and this is a correct alignment for me. So now I'm okay to proceed to final tightening the set screw. And I'm going to try to give you a good camera angle. Sorry if this is not a good angle, but basically you just crank it down. Okay, well, it's still going. I'm not sure how tight I want to make it. Let's try that. I mean, it's not rotating, it's not tilting off. So I think that does it as far as the installation goes. Yeah, so what's kind of getting me here is like, how tight am I supposed to tighten this set screw? Because, you know, I'm not like super muscling it in there, but it does seem like it continued to be tightened. I have a theory about one of the other problems with this mount, and it's like I can just keep tightening it. Even though it's secure on there, I'm just worried that, you know, there's such a little edge that it's actually gripping onto. I just don't know how hard to tighten it. So let's take it off, and I want to take a look at something real quick. Okay, yeah, so the dish is off, and I wanted to take a look at something because I have a theory, and this is point number 3 as to why this is probably not a good mount to purchase, and probably why it's one of the Starlink's worst designs as far as mounting accessories go. And I don't know if the camera is going to pick this up very well, but you see how, you know, this is supposed to be a completely round pipe, right? On this side where I was putting in the set screw, when I was tightening the set screw, this has flattened out this part of the pipe on this side, okay? And since this set screw itself only sits about ½ of an inch below the lip of this pipe, what's happening is that when I tighten this down, it's bending this pipe inward. And it's bending it more so at the top than toward the bottom. So my theory is, over time, what's going to happen is if you decide to purchase this mount, you're going to want to tighten this set screw down quite a bit because you're worried about it falling off of there, of course, which is completely understandable. But what's going to happen is you're going to actually be bending this metal right here. Since this set screw doesn't sit down very far, like if I use this Allen wrench to demonstrate like where the set screw would be, what's going to happen over time during wind and storms and everything like that, you know, small movements are going to, I think, eventually work this bolt up. Because remember, this metal has been now bent in this way. Eventually, this is just going to work its way up and fall off of the mount, in my opinion, if I had to speculate based on this design. So overall, as I'm installing this, I again cannot recommend that you buy this mount. I just think it's a poor design. Even though they supposedly fixed the set screw material, and maybe this bolt isn't going to come loose, but what is going to happen, regardless of the material of this bolt, is that you're deforming the pipe that you're sitting it on, and since it only has one set screw, one thing holding this on to the mount, it's just over time I think going to work its way off, no matter how much you tighten it. So, you know, that's my warning, kind of that's my impression as I'm installing this. And this video wouldn't be complete, you know, now that I've kind of hammered this mount enough and the design and kind of how much of a failure I think this is. What should you use instead? Well, I've got an answer for you right here. So this is just one of the many third-party alternative pipe adapters out there. This one is from a company called Flagpole Buddy. You may have heard of them. They're pretty popular in the RV community. They make flagpoles and masts for RVs and overlanding rigs and that sort of thing. They started making some Starlink accessories because there was obviously a big demand from the RV crowd to be able to mount a Starlink dish onto one of their flagpoles. So this is one of their latest products. This is their Starlink Buddy, and this is the J-mount version. So they sell a few different variations of this. It's all basically the same design. The only difference is the opening diameter right here. So I've got the one that most closely matches the diameter of my existing J-mount. This is like 1.5 inches, and I forget exactly what the opening inside diameter for this is, but I think it's a little bit over 1.5, maybe like 1.7 or something. So this is a much better design in my opinion, because you have, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but you have like a good 4 or 5 inches that this actually is going to sit down into, like so. And they actually include a self-tapping screw that is going to drill directly into the metal mast here and really tighten it down. So worst case scenario, even if this screw somehow failed, guess what? Your dish is not going to fall off of that. And that's really the main concern with the Starlink one, is that there's just not enough mast that is able to be inserted in here. And there's just a single failure point, which is that bolt. If that works off of the mast, you know, you're done for. So this is a much better design, I think. So the installation for this one is fairly simple. You take the cable and you route it over the top here. They've got a little cutout for you. It's got a channel at the bottom, just like the Starlink version. So you go like that, plug in your cable. And then you just slide them out right in place. Very loud, audible snap, just like the Starlink version, and they've done a good job of making it very secure, exactly like the Starlink adapter plates that come in the other mounting kits. So now your cable comes out this way, and then you can set the pipe adapter onto the unit here. And then what you want to do is do your manual alignment while you can still rotate this. Once you have the final location set, you come back and you do your set screw. Okay, so there we go. Now that that one's installed, as you can see, that looks a lot better. You've got way more mast covering, actually inserted up into the pipe adapter. I think the design of these third-party ones is way better than Starlink's, just because of the amount of mast that you can insert in there and tighten down with set screws. So we're back inside. Just got done finishing that installation procedure for this Gen 3 pipe adapter. I will say the installation is obviously pretty straightforward because it's just an adapter. There's nothing wrong with the process or anything like that. But as I had mentioned during the review, there's just so many issues with how this actually attaches to the mast that not really something that I could recommend for you guys. Definitely don't buy this. The title of the video is not clickbait. I really do believe that this is the worst accessory that Starlink has developed so far, especially when you have third-party companies that have come out and really made a far superior product. You know, something like this, the Starlink Buddy from Flagpole Buddy. This is a great alternative if you're needing to mount your Gen 3 Starlink to your own mast or pole or third-party mount of some kind. This design is a lot better than Starlink's shallow, you know, single set screw design, definitely. So that'll about wrap up this review of the Gen 3 pipe adapter. I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of the video and the mount itself. Are you going to consider this one of these third-party alternatives? I'll make sure to leave the link below to all the things that I mentioned in this video, including the J-mount, the flagpole buddy alternative here, and then I'll also link to the Starlink shop where you can find information on the Gen 3 pipe adapter itself. So I appreciate you watching. Make sure you subscribe if you aren't already. And then if you appreciate some of my unique insights and the work that I do on this channel, consider joining our supporter membership program. So if you hit the join button below the video, you can sign up for a monthly membership that supports the channel directly. It allows me to purchase more of these Starlink mounts and alternatives to feature in some of these videos. So consider joining the supporter program if you would like to. Otherwise, just keep watching, sharing the videos. That really helps out the channel. We'll see you in the next video.